Hello, this is Frank DeMore with the End Times Research Ministry, and today is May the 23rd of 2016. This past week, I gave you some information about the Psalm 83 war, and I explained how ISIS was in just about all of the nations that are listed in the Psalm 83 war. Now, as I often do, I show you the list of names you'll see in this photo of the nations that we see in Psalm 83 that the Lord tells us that are going to be attacking Israel in the last days. And of course, one of these nations we see listed is in number 4, the Hagarites. They are today the Hagarenes, or we know them as the Egyptians. Now, as I said last week, it may not be the individual nation like Egypt or Syria or Lebanon, but it may be the armies that are in those areas. Like ISIS has forces in Lebanon, they have forces in Syria and Iraq, and also now there's been a lot of news about ISIS in the Sinai, as you see in number 4, the Egyptians. So it may not be the Egyptians as a complete entity, but it could be the force of ISIS in the Sinai, like I said last week. But today there was another article that came out. These are prelude warnings, I call them, to the coming Psalm 83 war. So take a look at this article. This article came out from the Washington Times. You see the headline, Islamic State aims to destroy Israel, liberate Jerusalem with Sinai Peninsula terrorist force. And of course, you know where the Sinai Peninsula is. It's in Egypt. With the media blitz, the Islamic State has set its sights on Egypt's Sinai Peninsula as the next shot at expanding its empire and establishing a base from which to attack neighboring Israel. That's why I call it the prelude to Psalm 83, because we have the enemies in the areas that we see in the Bible. It says the terrorist group propaganda units have gone into high gear for recruitment this month to build a force in Sinai large enough to one day conquer Jerusalem, the same way its fighters took over large parts of Syria and Iraq. Further down in the article, it says the Islamic State propaganda promises recruits that they will one day liberate Jerusalem and end the state of Israel, according to an analysis by the Middle East Media Research Institute, which tracks jihad communications. The Egyptian army, the force standing in the way, is threatened with beheadings if soldiers continue to fight. Now keep in mind, in the 12th chapter of Zechariah, Zechariah says Jerusalem will be a burdensome stone for the entire world. Now we do have two different prophecies. We see that they want to liberate Jerusalem, so that goes hand in hand with what Zechariah tells us, and we see the Sinai being mentioned here as part of an attack going against Israel. And of course, the ISIS soldiers are not just in the Sinai. As you read in this article, they're already in Syria, they're already in Iraq. They've made inroads, obviously, in Lebanon and the Gaza, where the PLO are, and they are all mentioned in the Psalm 83 war as well. So without a question, we're going to see Psalm 83, that war, take place. We don't know exactly when it is, but we do know that it's close. The enemies are closing in on the nation of Israel. They're promising what they're going to do, at least what they think they're going to do, because we know from Psalm 83 and Ezekiel chapter 38, because after Ezekiel 38, we still see Israel standing. So there's no way that ISIS or anybody else is going to wipe out the nation of Israel, because the Ezekiel 38 war comes after the Psalm 83 war, and Israel is still standing. So we know that Israel is not wiped out. Let's keep our eyes on the news. We're seeing some really important news articles come out pointing to prophecies that haven't been fulfilled. This is Frank DeMore with the End Times Research Ministry. God bless.